Welcome back to American Sunrise. With me right now, the one and only Eric Trump. Eric, what a thrill to have you in the studio. I don't think we've ever done this, so this is a big treat for me especially, and especially on the heels of the launch of your brand new book. We're so excited about it. Under Siege, My Family's Fight to Save Our Nation. And oh, what a fight it has been. I feel like I have been in a fight, and all I am is just a rally-going patriot for the most part. But, you know, your family has been so under the microscope. And I remember going way back to 2015 when I was doing some work with your beautiful, amazing wife, Laura, and hearing some of the inside stories. Yeah. But the reality of the matter is, if your father were not sitting in the Oval Office right now, you could be in prison, your wife could be in prison. Who knows what they would have come up with, right, as reasons to arrest you, your friends, your family, your siblings. Sure. Your children could be alone. I mean, this had to be in your mind while you were going through this last campaign. What did that feel like to you?
Well, in the book, I actually say that. It was either the Oval Office or it was jail. I mean, that's what they wanted. They did everything they could do to destroy the family. And listen, my father had certain constitutional protections as president. I had no protections, right? I mean, I ran the Trump organization. They made my life hell. I became the most subpoenaed person in American history. Every single day, Gina, you probably remember it. I was getting subpoena after subpoena. They went to the darkest blue areas of the darkest blue states. I mean, you know, Washington, D.C., downtown New York City, right? Corrupt judges. They went after him legally. They went after him with AGs. They went after him with DAs. They tried to remove him from the ballots of states. They tried to impeach him twice. They went after his Supreme Court justices. They gag ordered him over and over. They tried to take away free speech. They censored him. They threw him off of Twitter. They threw him off of Facebook, off of Instagram. They literally banned anything to do with Donald Trump on YouTube. They censored his campaigns. Every single campaign ad that talked about going out to vote, Google was censoring. I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, they destroyed his friends, his family. They raided his home. They tried to break up his marriage. They tried to divide us as a family. They threw his CFO in jail for doing absolutely nothing wrong. And by the way, and that's just what's seen in the headlines. And I wrote Under Siege as a way to kind of talk about the true corruption of government. And I can tell you the New York Times, and I'm going to make New York Times bestseller list. I want to be #1. They are not going to like this book. They're going to fight like hell against me. But the story had to be told. It had to be told from the person who dealt with the vast majority of those attacks, did so every single day outside the Oval Office. And I really fought like hell for a man that I love and a family I love and frankly, a country I love.
It's a lot to sacrifice. And your father is made of something special. Nobody who's ever been around him would deny that. I remember coming back from some event with him at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and all the kids that were around him were like, we're going to bed now, finally. And he's like, no. We have work to do. And off we went to do more work. That's just who he is. He's made of stuff that's just it's almost superhuman. And you know this. But things roll off his back, Eric. I don't know that everyone is built of what he's built of. What role did faith play for you and Laura and your family as you were going through some of the deepest cuts?
Yeah. Well, I actually talk a lot about it in the book, but I mean, just look at the day of Butler, right? Yeah. I mean, it defies belief that an American flag could roll up in the perfect form of an angel.
Right.
You know,
right? My gosh.
It defies belief that he goes off script, looks up at a teleprompter screen and a rifle round from 130 yards away.
And turned his head perfectly at the exact
just
moment.
Happened to nick him as opposed to kill him. That's a shot that can't be missed by a competent person with a rifle, right? And there's hundreds of those. I mean, I tell the story of Corey, obviously the incredible firefighter who's killed at Butler all the time. His wife told me that, you know, that morning he woke up and said, Donald Trump is going to call me up on that stage. Donald Trump is going to call me up on that stage. And he knew something. And the wife's looking at him is incredible. I mean, his family's beyond incredible and saying, you know, Donald Trump's not going to call you up on the stage. What are you talking about? Like there's going to be 50,000 people at the rally. How? Faith is real. Faith is real. God was there. God was watching. Go back to 2016. I mean, we self-funded the vast majority of that campaign. He did, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't know what a damn caucus was. We knew nothing about politics. I mean, like, I remember him calling me up, and Megyn Kelly was going to kill us on his immigration stance. He calls me up. He goes, honey, will you go on Megyn Kelly tonight? I'll never forget. I was driving down the highway to go home. And so I turn around to go back into the city. And he goes, will you go on Megyn? I go, Pops, you understand. I don't know a damn thing. I'm really good at building hotels. I'm great at the golf course world. I'm really good at commercial buildings and residential. I'm really good at, like, you know, operations. It's what I did every day. I don't know a damn thing about illegal immigration. And here we were, right? And there was a sincerity to our family. Like when we got to Iowa, the first time there, and we spoke from our hearts, and we spoke about a father, and we spoke about a nation we loved, and it worked. But again, he funded his campaign, right, against a political dynasty who put $1.5 billion into her race and actually knew something about politics. You better believe that somebody was watching down on all of us. And faith has played a big part of our life, and a big part of politics, and a big part of keeping him safe. It was Russian roulette throughout the last 10 years, over and over and over again. And somehow he survived, and against all odds. And so that's a pretty remarkable thing.
You brought up Butler, Pennsylvania that day. We all know exactly where we were, like we do on 9/11. We all know exactly where we were in that moment when we heard about it. Where were you?
I was at home. I had my kids in my lap. We were watching TV. I was kind of mid-email, and obviously heard the shots, and a horrible moment. A horrible moment for everybody, a lot of people, right? A horrible moment for this country, and it also one that and I got killed for saying this a couple weeks before. I was on Fox, and I was talking about how I wouldn't be surprised if they resorted to that. I mean, again, they tried to take him off the ballots. They tried to imprison him. They charged him with 91 felonies for doing absolutely nothing wrong. They tried to take his name off skylines all over the world, the Letitia Jameses and all these people. They had run out. They tried to impeach him twice, right? And they tried everything that they
knew
possibly
they would stop
could.
at nothing.
Yeah, and I mean, what was their last remedy?
Right.
To try and kill him. And I'm still not happy with the explanation. I talk about that a lot in the book. I'm still not happy with the explanation that anybody's given. We know substantially more about Venezuelan gang members, El Salvador, that are being deported from this country than we know about the actual person who tried to. Why is it that you have one picture of the guy? Well, has anybody actually seen more than one picture of this guy? Why is it that a guy was cremated, 5 days later? Like, give me a break, right? Most family pets aren't cremated faster than a guy who tried to kill the 45th president, 47th president. Why is it that there's never been any report after the fact? I think it's left our entire country wondering what the hell actually happened. Isn't it amazing that they were able to break into the phones of every single January 6th person who walked into the Capitol and snapped a selfie, but yet, this maniac, they happen to not be able to get into his multiple cell phones.
Yeah.
I call BS, and I think most of your listeners probably call BS, and most of the country calls BS. And I think my father's had a lot of grace when it's come to to this whole thing and putting it behind him. I think I've probably personally had a lot less. And again, I talk about it a lot in the book.
Understandably, as a political spouse, I can say that there's nothing harder than watching someone you love be attacked wrongly, and it's literally all you've done for the more than the last decade. Yeah. And one of those ways that he's been attacked is, you do something really magical that I don't think is really out there in the news. You have a very blended family. I literally see his exes at various things. Of course, your beautiful mother that you lost too long ago already. She loved him, loved your family. I saw her at parties with everyone. There's Marla, of course. One of the things that's really interesting is how you all make it all work. And there are a lot of blended families out there, either because of death or divorce. I wanted to give you a chance to talk about how you all make that work, because that's very unusual, but you all do it seamlessly.
Yeah. My mother was the greatest, and she always, she loved my father. Always. They loved each other until the very end. She had the funniest quote. She said to Anderson Cooper, one of these guys who just berated her nonstop during the first election. She goes, maybe he wasn't the greatest of husband, but man, will that man make a damn good president. It was like the coolest Ivana Trump line, but it's amazing. It was never forced on us. I love Baron to death. I think he's an awesome kid. Tiffany is like the nicest girl you'll ever meet, incredibly close with her. Obviously, Don and Ivanka, inseparable with. But it was never forced, right? And that's kind of amazing. My mom, when she was buried, she's actually buried in kind of like the family plot that we carved out to be kind of like almost the
at
family
Bedminster, right?
Family cemetery. Imagine going to your current wife and saying, hey, I'd like my ex-wife to be buried alongside all, right? It's not one of those conversations that usually happen.
Right.
Most of the time, the current wife would say, no freaking way, right?
Right. But it really defeats the narrative out there on your dad.
And yet during her funeral, it was the deranged family members all come together. Now, that was part, again, I talk about this so much in the book, like they wanted to break us apart. They wanted to divide and conquer. they would give everything. I mean, the amount of book companies that went out there and literally paid people to make up BS narratives, right? To interject their thoughts. And I mean, we have a kind of distant niece who wrote this book about, a couple 100-page book about our family and how we're a, terrible family. And yet, I think if I met her once in my adult life, like,
wow.
I mean,
you barely have even met her?
And yet there's I literally know, like.
And she's taken as some sort of authority.
I know my FedEx guy better than I know her, yet she's watching, she's launching 300-page books about absolute nonsense. And it's just amazing, right? It's amazing how the world works, but we are an amazingly close family. Yeah. My father is a remarkable guy. He's doing a hell of a job. There has never been a fighter like that.
And he wasn't easy on you growing up. People think you lived this life of privilege.
He's a tough cookie. And by the way, my mom was maybe even tougher, right? Coming from a communist Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
No games, great manners, but we have an amazing family. He's an amazing guy. It was the greatest honor of my life to stand by him every single day. We fought like hell. Yeah. We fought like hell because we had no one else. I mean, no one was fighting for us. I mean, I went back and I tried to count the amount of people that endorsed my father in the 2016 race. And I think there was like two or three at like the very, very end.
Yeah.
And then, fast forward to 2024 and every senator, every congressman, yes, it would be our greatest pleasure to endorse you. And I'm sitting there laughing, saying like, it's just amazing.
And speaking of that, you lost friends during we all did. All of us who stood for him back in 2015, 2016 know what it was like to be booed when you walked in a room of people that you thought were your friends or supporters before that. But you had a lot of these people come back around, and some of this was pretty ironic. You talk about this in the book.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I lost some really good friends. I mean, two of my best friends in the world. I were in their wedding parties, best friends with them every vacation, every weekend, and then all of a sudden one day I open up Instagram and one of their wives is, marching in one of the parades in Washington, D.C. in 2016. And
that hurts.
You kind of send them the text message like,
what the heck?
I literally introduced you to your wife. Like, I was there the day you guys met. I was in your wedding. I was standing by your side, and I get to see some vile sign, held up by her and your two kids who I adore. And no, politics is crazy. What's also amazing is how many of those people come back around after the fact, which is the amount of text messages I got, right after November 8th of 2017, and then obviously right after November 5th of 2024. Hey, buddy, how are you? Just checking in. I
really love an appointment.
I wanted to stay a little distant because I knew how busy you were, but really we were behind you the entire time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
I
don't want to use the word, but there's some FUs that go through your mind.
Yeah.
And
that even happens to supporters, right? Who stood by him, and then they hear from people from high school, like, hey, do you think you can help me? You give me a meeting with Eric Trump. I'm like, I haven't seen Eric Trump in a year, but yeah, sure.
But you know what the most beautiful thing is? I wouldn't trade one of those people who disappeared from your life for the amount of unbelievable people that have come into our lives. Hey, listen, you've come into our lives, right? Had it not been for the political journey, Laura and I would have never known you. We would have never known your husband, right? I can count so many of those people. And by the way, who really had personal sacrifice throughout this whole process.
Yeah, talk to those patriots, Eric, because a lot of them have lost friends too. Maybe they went to a barber shop and now they're not even welcome there anymore. Yeah. That kind of thing. Talk to them for a second.
Well, what I'll say is, we've won. We've won, and I mean that with all of my heart. Listen, we won the popular vote. We won all the swing states, right? We won every single state, meaning every single state skewed to the right, skewed Republican. Look at Miami-Dade County. 37 years, Miami-Dade County has never been won. We won Miami-Dade County by 11 points, every single demographic, whether it be race, religion, gender, age demographic, every single one of them skewed. And so the point is, the early people got abused, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, they won.
Yeah.
They were right. And now this country is in the right hands. We've become a nation of faith again. We've become a nation of the Constitution again. We've become a nation of common sense, no BS. We're not being ripped off by the entire world. You have a person in the Oval Office who's doing a great damn job and restoring safety to the streets, restoring family. What I hope we've imparted throughout this whole fight is a little bit of a sense of the American family and what can be accomplished if you punch hard and work hard. And so I guess to all those patriots, we've won. And hopefully I think everybody's probably seeing right now that their time and effort and sacrifices and lost friendships and other things, hopefully at this point is paid off, because I think they're seeing the country in a much better place than it was under a demented, deranged president who was using an auto pen every day.
Well, there's one other narrative that I think you might need to set straight, and that is people think that your brother Don, now I know you love him, but people think that he's the sportsman of the family. And I've heard rumors otherwise. I just wanted you to correct the record.
Oh, yeah. No, anything that flies through the air, anything that goes down a rifle barrel or pistol barrel or shotgun barrel, no, I've got Don. No, joking aside, Don's an amazing sportsman. He's the, I always call him the modern day Teddy Roosevelt, and I don't say that lightly.
Wow.
Don and I grew up in the woods with compound bows, and the amount of time we spent there, and my father, my grandfather on my mom's side got us shooting from a very, very young age, and it's been a massive part of our lives. Competitive shooting, all the shooting.
You're really good.
We really love it. We really, really love it. It's ingrained in our kind of DNA, and it's every bit of our heart and soul. And so my father had kind of the real estate and golf. My mother's side had really, really the outdoors.
Yeah.
And so we're a blending of all three.
What a beautiful balance. And how American. Couldn't get more American than that. I wanted to take 1 second to ask you about this because the left would love to attack you on you guys trying to study our economy in every way you can, not just with your father being president and all the risks you've taken therein, but really in building businesses yourself. And one of the things you've done is established this World Liberty Financials, and the left, of course, coming in, wanting to attack you for this stable coin. A lot of people are excited about it. A lot of people invested in it, but they're saying it's a conflict of interest. I wanted to give you a chance to speak back to them about your motivation. I want to understand your vision behind this.
So the greatest irony, in 2021, I started getting letters every single day. Capital One took 300 bank accounts away from us, meaning I get a letter. Your accounts are hereby closed, right? I mean, that's the essence of the letter. We were debanked, we were deplatformed by everyone. Capital One, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America. I mean, you go down the list. First Republic Bank, right? Everyone, Shopify went after us. The biggest brokerage firms, right? Every one of them deplatformed us. And I'm sitting there saying, I don't have a chance, right? We don't have we need rails to run the business. And I realized how fragile the banking industry was in this country and around the world. And that's really where we got into crypto. And I really quickly realized, and that's World Liberty Financial, I really quickly realized that there's nothing that the big banks can't do that crypto using blockchain can't do better, faster, cheaper, more transparently. I always give a couple of analogies. Why is it that you want to go finance a home? Why is it takes you 120 days when you and your husband have probably been customers of the very bank you're going to use for financing for the last 30 years? Why is it that every single week as a real estate guy, I'm waiting to send out a wire, right? And I'm desperately trying to get out the wire before 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, right? And by the way, if you don't get it out by 5 o'clock, guess what? The intended recipient, or if you don't receive it by 5 o'clock, they're not going to get the money until the following late Monday or Tuesday.
Why is that in our day of technology?
Yet I can grab my cell phone and I can send you Bitcoin. The other crypto company we have is American Bitcoin, which I just debuted on the NASDAQ last week.
Yes, congratulations.
It's absolutely soaring and flying.
Yeah.
But why is it in the world that I can send you crypto, I can send you Bitcoin, I can send you USD1, which are a stablecoin, and it can go from my wallet to your wallet 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. On a Saturday night, you can be having a glass of wine and receive a payment instantly at virtually no fees. And yet the SWIFT transfer. So the reality, the banking system is broken in this country. The banking system went after 50%, including all your listeners, by the way. I mean, half of your listeners were debanked as well.
Yeah.
And so we fell into crypto to solve a problem. No different than we fell into Truth Social to solve the problem that, my father and all of us had been, either silenced or thrown off of, Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and the rest of this. So, and then they come out and say it's a conflict of interest. So you cancel us. And then when we pop up a solution, a way to get around the banks that canceled us, you say it's a conflict of interest. I mean, you literally can't make it up. But the crypto endeavors are like...
You do make it sound pretty humorous.
World Liberty is like one of the great companies that's being built right now anywhere. We're really proud of it. American Bitcoin is one of the great companies that's being built. I'm really proud of our listing last week. And it's really become a major facet to our organization.
For somebody who says they didn't know what they were doing when you were told by your father or asked by your father to go to that Megyn Kelly interview all those years ago, you seem to have come a pretty long way. You've got this book. You're extremely articulate in an interview. You actually answer the questions before I get a chance to ask them. That's a real skill, by the way. What about a President Eric Trump someday?
It's honestly, it's a brutal world. I never rule out anything in life. I don't. You better make sure. With my father, I think 2016 was the right time for him because it was probably the right was probably the first instant in our lives where, I mean, he looked at me, I was 33 years old. Hey, honey, I want you to run this company. Right? I mean, this is a multi-billion-dollar, many billion-dollar, global real estate empire. That became very complicated with politics, and I don't think he could have done that 4 years earlier. But you better make sure that your family, is well positioned, has a lot of backbone.
What a great point.
Because they will attack your kids. They will go after them. They will try and destroy your life. They will try and imprison the people around you. That's how the Democrats played this game. And so, we were lucky with my father. We had The Apprentice. We had notoriety. We were on all the shows. We had our own voice. We had some backbone. But man, is it a brutal process.
It's a family thing. That's a great
Now, at the same time, we better hope that business guys get into Washington, D.C., because honestly, when you hear Kamala, as she was running for president, she's talking about, she's talking about inflation. She doesn't know what inflation is. She's talking about, price gouging. Or what did she say? She actually said price gauging. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
And they're saying that this is a person who's going to run a $33 trillion economy, and they can't even get out a basic word. And so we better hope we have more great business people in this country, men and women who actually step into the role. At the same time, it's a nasty business. It's ugly as hell, and you better make sure that the people in your family are ready for it.
What about your father on Mount Rushmore? I know patriots will want me to ask that because they love that idea. The Nobel Peace Prize notwithstanding, but Mount Rushmore, it just seems like after everything you all have been through, everything that he's endured, it just seems to follow.
He deserves it.
Yeah.
He deserves it, and he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize so many times over. I've literally been in that office. I was in that office for one conversation where he literally stopped a war. In fact, I was in the office recently for another one where he stopped another one. I mean, the amount of children, and I say children, young kids right now that are running around the world who are alive based on the fact that he stopped conflicts that otherwise would have spiraled out of control.
Yeah.
There are moms and dads out there who have their kids based on calls that he's made and conflicts that he's ended kind of before they really got out of control. And they have probably zero appreciation that, many of their children and many of the people they knew would not be there had it not been for him. And he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. And to watch so many of these presidents in the past get the Nobel Peace Prize who did nothing other than, fund the Pentagon's war machine and create conflict all over the world and enter these 20-year wars in Iraq and Afghanistan that cost our country trillions of dollars and thousands of lives, yet these guys are getting Nobel Peace Prizes. Yet Donald Trump is the one president who's actually never taken us to war. He's never gotten into a war. He's done everything humanly possible to keep us out of the war. And yet they kind of begrudge him that honor, which he deserves more than anybody. He deserves that Nobel Peace Prize. He deserves to be on Mount Rushmore. And I think in time he'll get both.
Well, the book is Under Siege, My Family's Fight to Save Our Nation. I understand it's a very candid book. It's very personal. It's very heartfelt, biographical almost. Congratulations on it. All the best to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
God bless you and your family.
I think New York Times is probably going to do everything they possibly can to knock me down.
So we all need to go buy. What are the tricks? Go buy it the first day.
Go buy it right now. It's on Amazon.
Pre-order right now, right?
Actually, DJT my father did the audio. He wrote the foreword to the book. He did the audio, which was really nice. Laura did one of the forewords to the book too, and I read the entire book, which was a hell of an experience. It was fun. So I put my heart and soul into it, and it's a great read, and it helped me take out the New York Times because they're going to do everything they can to keep me from being number one. You better believe that.
Got to be
the knives are going to be out.
Too big to rig, right? We got to make it too big to rig, guys. Where have we heard that before? Eric Trump, thank you. God bless you.
It's good to see you.
All right, you too.